And Councilman Calabria. Tonight we are going to take a look at the grant agencies with regard to the funding. And I would just like to say to you that, first of all, thank you very much for coming out. And I know that it's such a gorgeous night and everything. I'll try to get through it as fast as I can. As you know, this is a very difficult budget year. We need to be fiscal, responsible. The mayor has done everything in his power to have a very a budget that's tight, but yet at the same time he wants to try to do what's best for all concerned. And so I'm going to ask you if you would be so kind. I'll go through the grant agencies by alphabetical order. And if you'd be so kind, if you would like to address the committee, you please feel free to come forward and state who you are and again, the agency you represent. But we got it, because it's going to be so hot in this room, if you could try to limit your responses to 2 to 3 minutes, I would appreciate that immensely. Is that okay, ladies and gentlemen? And also we, thank you. And also, if you'd be so kind, I'm sure that one speaker should suffice with regard to your agency. So with that in mind, I'm going to start, and we have, first we have Ability Beyond Disability. Is there somebody representing Ability Beyond Disability? Okay, the proposed by their department was $34,000. The proposal by the mayor is $26,317. Okay, so I'm going to assume that many of these people got in contact with me over the last week, and so I would venture to guess they accept that. Okay. The next, ladies and gentlemen, AIDS Project of Greater Danbury. Thank you very much. Certainly. What we have first, let me say what the proposal by the department was $21,516. As proposed by the mayor, $14,626. Please.
My name is Elvira for the HIV Prevention Education Program at AIDS Project Greater Danbury for the last 10 years. On behalf of AIDS Project Greater Danbury, we would like to thank the Common Council and the city for recognizing us and for funding us this year. We serve over 9,000 individuals providing HIV, STD testing, and education. So once again, we just want to appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and we commend you for your magnificent efforts. Thank you. American Red Cross, as proposed by the department, $20,000. As proposed by the mayor, $20,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, and I'll keep my comments short.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Chairman?
Please.
Thank you. Mr. Woods? Yes.
Mr. Woods?
You have a question?
Sorry, yes.
It disappeared too fast.
Sorry. Question for Tony?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, hello.
Councilman Cheney.
Through the chair. Now, last year, it was the first time we funded your program. Can you give us an insight a little bit about how successful that was?
Yes.
Some feedback?
Sure. I can tell you, year to date, we have our statistics from how we've been providing assistance. You know, we do several things in the community. One is we respond to families that are burned out by fires. We help families prepare for emergencies. And our transportation program helps elderly and disabled get to needed medical appointments. Year to date, from July 1st, we've responded to 6 single-family fires in the Danbury area, 9 multi-family fires. We've assisted a total of 27 families, or a total of 75 individuals that have received assistance from us through our volunteers and our disaster relief programs. We've expended to date a little over $18,500 in direct immediate assistance provided to families affected by disasters here in the Danbury area. our Wheels medical transportation program. We're providing about 25 rides per week to elderly or disabled individuals. So far, year to date, we've provided about 900 transportation rides to medical appointments for area residents.
Steve. Mr. Chairman, I secured the council chambers. Since we have people waiting out the hall, perhaps you want to return over there.
Yes.
The EIC meeting.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
That was my idea.
All right, again, sorry about the move, but it seems like it's better. I would just like to say again, if anybody has a comment from the committee or from the floor, please, feel free to, yes. Yes, sir.
Responding to your original question?
Yes. Just to follow up on from last year's budget request. Now, last year we funded the Meals on Wheels program, and that's what that's the 20,000 unfortunately we used for the Meals program. That's what we thought.
No, we Red Cross is doing
Presentation, I'm sorry.
presentation part. The way that the program, as I recall from last year, the allocation was for emergency services, which would included a large portion for the Wheels transportation program.
So again, so that was, so the $20,000 was adequate to cover that cost?
For a portion of the cost. We're still using outside sources and additional fundraising to make up the difference. Obviously, this year with the cost of gasoline, our budgets are being stretched with what had anticipated we would spend this fiscal year. And we're also looking for the assistance from the city to also help to build our emergency preparedness program going forward as well. We are part of the city's emergency response plan. We're called upon by the city to help run shelters and open the war memorial, et cetera, during disasters. All of that takes coordination from our resources. So the city grant will be applied equally between our Wheels transportation program and our readiness program for disasters here locally.
Thank you very much. All right, before we move on, Mayor Cares Free Clinic of Danbury, proposed by department, $17,510, as proposed by the mayor, $17,510. I was in contact with the people, and they're very happy with the amount they received. Any questions, anyone? Thank you very much. Okay. The next one is the Amos House. Amos, is there anybody from the Amos House? As proposed by the department, $16,900, and as proposed by the mayor, the same amount from last year, $4,378. That was the projected expenditures for 207, 208. So, yes, ma'am, please. Yes, ma'am. Very well. Would you have a comment, ma'am?
Oh, I just wanted to say my name is Boston Charlie, Executive Director. I'd like to thank the city member for their support and your support.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for all you do. Yes, question, ma'am?
I just have a question of curiosity. Do you have a number of how many people use public service in the course of the year?
We service the average of 8 families per year. Last year, we did 7.
Thank you very much. Next, we have ARC, Association of Religious Communities, as proposed by the department, 208, 209, $9,004, as proposed by the mayor, $7,004. Please.
I'm Reverend P.J. Leopold, Executive Director, and good evening, common council members and council at large. I'd like to say that, yeah, we did request $9,004, and we are a little bit surprised by the $7,004, because it's a 22% less than what we asked for. This grant is just for domestic violence prevention. It is the only program in the Greater Danbury region. We received 2,500 client contacts last year, 450 perpetrators of domestic violence went through the program. There was less than 1% recidivism rate that we tracked and monitored for a year. And it helps. A lot of nonprofits refer to us, supports, Danbury hospitals help, less domestic violence, police department with less arrests. And this grant has not had an increase in years. So we would like to see our grant, if possible. You know, maybe the 9,000 is too much, but it's one of the lower grants in the city budget, and it really goes a very long way. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councilman Cheney, please.
Through the chair, thank you. Now, how many people do you serve?
Well, through that program, we had over 2,500 client contacts.
Do you know how much it costs to serve for contact and keep track of the cost to serve one family, one person?
We know that our program costs well over, close to $175,000.
For this program? And what other funding do you have besides City of Danbury for this program?
We appeal to, we have an individual appeal. We have congregations that support the operating, not specifically this program. This is an extremely hard program to fund. Perpetrators of domestic violence. A lot of people want to just throw everybody in prison, lock up, and lose the key. This is a very long commitment. People are in some of our psychoeducational treatment groups for 6 months every single week. We have groups in the morning at ARC, we have them at night, we have them off premises, in safe places, and so it's very important that someone who knows the understanding of getting at the root cause of domestic violence prevention and being able to have this outcome of very less than 1% recidivism. We don't have too many options for grants. They really are more geared toward, well, needed also victims of domestic violence. So we work in collaboration, however, with the state of Connecticut Court Support Services Division, and they are very generous toward our family violence education program, but they cannot fund all of it. But yes, the state has been a partner in the domestic violence prevention program with us for quite some time.
Yes, please.
Even through the chair, has there been a reduction in other grants for this program?
No.
So we're the only ones who actually use?
Yes. I mean, we know that the congregations that are going to support the overall operating, so we have the program and turn the heat on, or the air conditioning, maybe, you know, as the economy suffers, so the congregations, we're expected to see a downturn in perhaps this year, faith-based communities that we will see allotted to the program. But so far, our main grants are from the and the state. The state has been strong. They give us generally a cost of living increase every year.
Director of Finance, did you finish? Director of Finance, please.
I would just like to, through the chair, let you know that most of the agencies, the grant agencies, have level funding from last year. And we did not, I think with one or two exceptions, did not reduce. We kept the funding level last year. And I think your amount was the same in this year's budget, the same as last year. And we did so. Quite honestly, because of the budget concerns, as we're all aware of. And, we really, we didn't want to cut the funding. And it was very important to the mayor to maintaining that funding in the grant agencies. Because a lot of departments, city departments, got reduced. But this is one of the protected areas. However, it is true that the grant agencies are not getting everything that they're requesting. And that is not a reflection upon the work that they do, because we very much appreciate the wonderful work that they do. And their efforts are incredible. But this is a priority. And we don't do respect.
Thank you very much.
May I, through the chair? Thank you. I would like to say to that this has been the 4th year in a row that this particular grant has been at the same level. There have been new agencies that do wonderful work and deserve great grants as well. But I really do want to make the case that it's not just 1 year now, and we are, as a very low grant here, 2,000 to us is a tremendous amount of money. So it's not as if we're quibbling here over 50,000 more that we're asking for. We're asking for $2,004 more. And if there's somewhere in between, that would really be helpful.
Two questions. This year you managed to take out a full-page ad in the newspaper regarding the ICE agreement between the city and the Federal Immigration Customs officers, and I'm sure that was costly. Do you know how much that cost you, and where do you get the money from for that?
Yes, I do know how much that cost. I believe it was $2,300, and that money was from an anonymous gift. That money did not come from the city. It did not come from this grant, and thank you for asking, because none of the money that we receive from the city goes toward any of our work in the area of immigrant resettlement with refugees. That was a private, anonymous gift that was given to the agency and directed accordingly, signed by most board members, not signed by me. And it wasn't against ICE access. It was it was against a partnership with ICE access, and it was a request for a better way to deal with this situation. It was also a positive request to find a better solution for our city. But that is the answer to that question. And I really think that this grant is not about, let me say, just $2,000. I don't think this grant is just about serving 2,500 people. I don't think this grant is just about the 1% citizenry. I think this grant is also about the city's values. And if the city values this program and the work it does, then it should be able to see its way to fund it, in part. We're not a complete funder. We don't rely on you for a whole lot of funding, $175,000. It's a program for 4th year in a row. As everything does continue to go up, that's very hard. And we will like to see our city healed. We did take that statement of concern in the newspaper. We also have done a lot of work in a lot of areas. We included the Commission on Immigrants, which is a diverse cross-section of many people in the community that are doing a lot of different proactive, positive things, trying to fill some gaps, quite frankly, trying to meet some needs. Our mission at ARC is to alleviate the causes of violence, suffering, and hate while advancing peace, justice, and human dignity. Someone comes to my door and they're hungry, and I have spaghetti boxes from the congregation, I'm going to ask, and I'm going to give it, and I'm not going to ask. That's a gap. People are hungry. They're here. We're going to feed. We're going to show hospitality as well. We are not going to give the impression that everybody is of the same mind. We're going to try to extend hospitality as best we can. And that is our mission, and it always has been. That program is 35 years old. It didn't just come up overnight. It's been sustaining for 35 years to help people resettle in Danbury, beginning with Southeast Asian communities after the Vietnam War, Cambodians, Laotians. I still work with this 1.5 generation now. So yes, we are very proud of our work, and we are doing our best. Nobody is perfect, but we have put a lot of time into what we believe is what can be healing for the city and to stand up for things that we think might be hurtful to the city. But that is not related, nor is any grant from the city related to that work.
Last year was used to pay for that, and if you tell me that I had to pay that rent, I'll be.
Thank you. If I might.
Maybe someday I can ask the city for a grant in that area.
If I might, I realize that that ARC has been around for many years. I also realize that all the wonderful things that the community has done. I truly do. I remember back in '76 when we had the terrible riots, race riots in high school, and the outgrowth of that was the alternative Center for Education, which is probably the best alternative school in Connecticut, if not top 5 in New England. And ARC was very helpful with that endeavor. The only thing I would say is that what had transpired was seen by some people as a perception that that maybe ARC was using, again, as Councilman Copeland said, using taxpayer money for making a political statement. I certainly understand that. We in the United States, this great country, we have the right to express ourselves, express our feelings. We have the freedom of the press, and I certainly can go along with that. But you have to understand the position that many people felt at that time. And I know that maybe it wasn't meant to be as strong, maybe as the wording was, but with that being said, I think everything's okay, and I think that we're in the same ballpark today. And I commend you for your efforts working with AIC.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Next, we have the Child and Family Institute of Fairfield County, as proposed by the department, $25,000, as proposed by the mayor, 208, 209, 8,755, which is the projected expenditures for 207, 208. Please.
My name is Pam Samaha. I'm the Executive Director of the Child and Family Institute of Fairfield County. We were previously known as the CARD Foundation, which presented an intensive therapeutic program for kids with emotional and behavioral disorders for every summer for the past 11 years. We have combined services, and we now expanded services, I should say. We now provide year-round services, which are individual, group, family. We go into the schools to provide advocacy services. We provide a therapeutic mentoring program. We serviced in 2007 350 children. Of that 350 children, 140 reside in Danbury. Even though I only get 8,755 from the city of Danbury, the number of Danbury children that are referred to me increases dramatically every year. For example, over 40% of our population are Danbury children, And last year, with all the other funds that I raised, they received the most scholarships to go to the summer program. Last year, Danbury children, I gave them $44,075. The children that come from Danbury, not always, but many times, are very complex cases, need a lot of intensive work. And what I'm asking for is to, and I know this is a very difficult budget year, but our children are at stake. And we provide very comprehensive care. I've included, I brought with me a letter that I had sent to the mayor that Kevin Page from the juvenile court and the superintendent of schools, the assistant superintendent of schools, speaks to the quality of our work and how we have helped some of the most difficult children. And what I'm hoping is we can get an increase to help Danbury children. We just received money, not for the summer program, but from the governor, for an urban youth violence prevention program that we're currently running. It does cost us to send the children to the intensive therapy program $2,400. And I can't accommodate as many children as I get referrals for. So if there's anything you can do, and what happens to these kids if they don't get this program, they are at greater risk for later on down the line getting involved in the judicial system, dropping out of school, getting involved with alcohol, drugs, or other dangerous kinds of behaviors. And these are kids that have emotional difficulties, that have behavioral problems, come from broken homes. If we don't help them now, we will service them later, I promise you that, at a much greater cost. So if I can give you this letter.
Yes, thank you.
Just explains the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Were there any questions? All right, we'll move on. Community Action Committee. Is there anybody?
Linda Armstrong, I'm the chairman of the Community Action Committee of Danbury. 2 words I have for you as it relates to the budget is food and fuel. That's what we give back to the city of Danbury. We normally serve about 11 families a week at the food pantry. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been averaging about 25 to 30 families. Because of the high cost of food, families are having a difficult time, and so now we find ourselves in a position not to supplement their normal food costs, but we are the primary. So in the last couple of weeks, we served double, almost triple the number of families we normally serve. This administrative cost that the city will provide will not only provide for the food, but it also allows us to administer over $1 million worth of fuel costs in the greater Danbury area. And you know how high fuel has become in the last couple of months and the year or so, with almost doubling costs. In fact, the state, what they decided to do was, because we used to give awards of $300, $400, $500. We're not doing that for some families anymore because that was a drop in the bucket, it was a pittance. Because the fuel cost was not keeping up with the awards. So now we have to go back and reclassify folks so that they can get gallons of fuel, which is a different process. So what the city does by providing the $80,000+ is to give us an opportunity to bring $1 million worth of fuel into the city of Danbury, as well as to provide over 300 families a month, sometimes food, and 300 people a month, sometimes food, and stay alive in the city of Danbury and not freeze. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much, Wanda. Any questions? Thank you very much for all you do. Connecticut Institute for Communities, CIFC, as proposed by the department, $217,550. As proposed by the mayor, $112,550, which is a little bit above the projected expenditures of 207, 208.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jim Maloney, Danbury, Connecticut. I serve as the president of the Connecticut Institute for Communities, and delighted to be with you tonight. You asked that the presentations be brief, so I put together a little bullet sheet. Some of you may not be familiar with the work of the Connecticut Institute, which we refer to shorthand as CIVIC. We have deliberately gone about our business fairly quietly, but I thought I would take a moment to mention the things we have done specifically in Danbury, and there were 6 little bullet points. We reorganized, re-energized, and expanded the Head Start program in the community. We secured more than $4 million in state support for the adaptive reuse of the old Emmanuel Lutheran School as the Danbury Head Start Center. This next one you may not know at all, but HUD was pending foreclosure of the Beaver Street Apartments Cooperative, which we prevented from occurring, and we've taken over the administration of that and are in the process of reorganizing it administratively. We're working very closely with the police department on drug issues. We're working closely with HUD on reconstruction issues. We have made substantial progress in the administration and strengthening of the Harambe Youth Center. That's really what brings us here tonight. And this past year, we secured legislative approval for the purchase and historic preservation adaptive reuse of the Armory building through the city of Danbury for civic programs, including Harambe. A year ago, the mayor asked us to take over the administration of the Harambe program, which operates at the Armory, because he felt there was both a need and an opportunity to provide some strengthening of that program, both administratively and programmatically, and that's exactly what we've been working to do. So the great bulk of the request here tonight is the continuation of the same amount of money that was there for Harambe over the past number of years. The additional money that the mayor has proposed in his budget will help us with our program planning, going out and getting additional money, getting additional resources, grants, and that sort of thing, which we're very actively doing because although the Harambe program does a great job with the resources they have, they basically have one full-time person and a couple part-time people. And there's a huge opportunity to do a lot more for the low-income and minority kids in the Danbury community. To put it all in perspective, and I'll conclude and be happy to take your questions, we started the Connecticut Institute in 2003 with a private grant of $25,000. This year we will put about $3 million of public and private money back into the Danbury economy. And we're looking to make those kinds of substantial improvements with the Harambe program.
Very commendable. Any questions, please? Councilman Jennings.
Through the chair. Again, going through the Harambe Center, because I have the financial funding here. Now, it seems like over the years we've been the only funding for the center. And I remember last year one of the questions was having to seek additional funding. Don't rely on one source.
Correct.
So sooner or later that source may not be
Correct.
needed. And again, that question would be out again to see if there's the additional funding that we can get without relying on one source. Because basically it's almost this is almost like an arm of the city. Without our funding, this system exists.
I agree. Without the city's funding, the program for low-income minority kids would not exist. That's a very important thing that the city does in stepping forward and providing that service. But yes, one of the things the mayor asked us to do was to make sure all of the administrative paperwork, programmatic performance things were together so that Harambe could in fact go and get additional money. I think we've done that in large part. We succeeded in getting a pretty substantial, for the United Way, pretty substantial grant from the United Way as openers, and Harambe now sort of has the United Way seal of approval. and that is helping us also go to other private funding sources. We have some grants pending, and we hope to build up the support for the Harambee program through private foundations and other programs that make those kind of contributions.
Again, to the chair. Again, it wasn't so much the funding that got my attention, was the rent that was paid. It strikes me that we give you, the city gives around $87,000.
97, yeah.
And then we turn around and give a quarter of that to Westcon
Yes.
to use that building.
Yes.
So to me, it's like one hand doesn't necessarily wash the other hand.
Yes.
So my question is, why can't Westcon donate the use of that building? Or
I think that's an outstanding idea
to
myself.
me, that's $21,000
Yes, sir.
savings that we could be using for other programs.
Right.
Even this evening, our gas for another $2,000. I mean, I would like to see us better use our money to have one municipal fund a state agency. So, and then...
Can I provide two answers to that? I'll give you Westcon's answer and I'll give you mine.
Okay.
Westcon's answer is that they are regulated by the state of Connecticut, by the rules of the state of Connecticut, and they can't just simply go around giving away services. If they have a facility that's worth money, they have a fiduciary duty to their students and to their program to get rent if they can raise it. Okay? Otherwise, the tuition would be higher. Okay? That's their answer. My answer is, well, I didn't quite buy that, so I went to the legislature and asked the legislature to sell us the building for $1 through the city of Danbury, which the legislature agreed to do. The closing won't occur until 2011, which isn't all that far away, because the deal with the state legislature and with the university was that they wouldn't sell the building until they had completed the arts building that Westcon is building. Westcon's building an arts building. And one of the few things that Westcon actually uses the armory for is storage for their theater arts program. Okay? So they didn't want to give up the building until then, but they recognized that it doesn't fit into their master plan, it's not on their downtown campus, it's not on their west side campus, and they realized that really the building is surplus. So they supported it. So, Councilman, what I would say is, yeah, I think for another couple of years, we're going to have to pay rent, but after that, it should be without rent, forever. That's right. They needed, they could have ours. We'll strike them a great deal.
But this is again the same point. Now, is it possible to use other facilities besides the War Memorial? I mean, can't the Powell building utilize their gym? Can't the Manuel Luca building, they have a gym? Can that be possible sources? Because, you know, with construction, in 2 to 3 years, it could still be 5, 6, 7 years if the funding gets cut along the way. But again, I'd rather see 24,000 used other than paying Westcon for use.
Again,
there's other facilities out there that we could see if we could utilize.
Well, we would, Harambee operates 6 days a week, afternoons and evenings. So to say that you go over and use the PAL building, that would be great, but basically PAL would then have to find a new location. Okay? So as a practical matter, that wouldn't work. The Manuel Lutheran School, the gym, is going to be basically halved, and the design is set for that, and it's designed for a preschool Head Start program, and everything from the basketball hoops being this high rather than 10 feet, you know, all that. So it's very hard to do that. The good news is that the Armory building is the best. Harambee's been in existence in Danbury, and I don't want to take a long time here. Harambee's been in existence in Danbury for about 40 years. This is the best facility they've ever had. And what we've committed with the mayor is working through this so that they have a permanent facility that isn't paid rent to the state of Connecticut, and we've succeeded in doing that. In terms of how we now, anyone who's been in there recognizes this building was built in 1911, needs lots of work. There is something called the Historic Preservation Tax Credit Program, and we intend to apply for that to restore and remodel the building. And that's why we refer to it as an adaptive reuse. So we're going to, I understand your point, work with us for a while, and I think we'll solve that problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Danbury Animal Welfare Society. Thank you, please come on. As proposed by the department, $5,000. As proposed by the mayor, $4,378.
No comments.
No problem. Thank you very much. Danbury Children First, as proposed by the department, $70,000. As proposed by the mayor, $65,663. Thank you. How do you do that?
My name is Linda Costco. I'm the Executive Director at Danbury Children First. First, I just want to thank you and everyone in the city for your generosity at Danbury Children First. And we did request more from last year, and I know it's a tight year, but just to let you know we need it. And I also wanted to review very quickly some of the things that we did for Danbury. We're focused on improving child outcomes around health and education. That's also improving the overall quality of life in Danbury. 95% or more of our parents and children we serve are Danbury residents. We are a Danbury community-based organization. We reach 9,000 parents with information and our workshops every year. Our goal is that all parents have access to needed resources. From many of the agencies that are here today, we have great resources and those parents can help with access. Our big focus is also around parent involvement in education and parent involvement in the community. We provide parent leadership programs. We work in partnership with many in the city, including one example would be the Danbury Public School District, where in the last year we've been able to reach 50% increase in parents in our parent leadership programs in partnership with the district. In partnership with the Parks and Rec Department and parent leaders, over the last 2 years, there have been now programs offered for children with special needs. Just last week, the first top soccer program in Danbury made available opportunities for 50 children in Danbury to participate and have special needs in a soccer program for the first time ever. And so we appreciate the partnership. And like I said, we understand it's a tough year, but we are requesting more because we have a need. Per year, we also, just let you know, we do publish information for parents. I just wanted one copy of samples with you, as well as little summarized information. And you did ask for updated financials, and so I to you in some background.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to mention one other thing. I included the two program budgets that you fund, the childhood program and parent leadership separately. And you will see there's a deficit. Any deficit that's not funded by grants is board fundraising. And you will see from the financials look over time that we are increasing our diversification of funding. We brought other public money into the town from the state and federal government.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
Thank you very much. Okay. Danbury Council of Veterans, as proposed by the mayor, $24,025. Excuse me, as proposed by the department, $24,025, and as proposed by the mayor, $20,600. Okay, thank you. Danbury Downtown Council, City of Danbury, as proposed by the department, $40,802, and as proposed by the mayor, $40,802. Okay? They're not here. Okay. Danbury Regional Child Advocacy Center, as proposed by the department, $38,522, as proposed by the mayor, $38,522, which is the same as projected expenditures for 207, 208. Is there anybody here for that agency? No. Okay. Next, the Danbury Visiting Nurse Association, as proposed by the department, $100,683, as proposed by the mayor, $100,683. Anybody from that is? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lori Simmons, and I'm here representing the Danbury Visiting Nurses. I am the clinical manager there. And first of all, I just want to thank you very much for what you do for us. This enables us to take care of indigent children in this area with our Lungs on Wheels van, and also with our maternal and child health program. And for that, we are eternally grateful. Thank you.
Were there any questions?
Any questions?
No, thank you very much. Danbury War Memorial, as proposed by the department, $100,000. As proposed by the mayor, $75,000. No one's here. If I might take a minute on this one. The War Memorial has been going through some difficult financial times, and many of their people that have been working there for many years are now in the process of taking early out, retiring. But at the same token, they're really in a financial problem, and they were asking if there's any way that we could extend monies to them. And I put this before the committee that maybe there's a possibility that we might be able to, between the Boughton YMCA Center, and this is just a possibility, and the War Memorial, there's a total of $175,000 there. And maybe what we could do, because of their financial issues, maybe we could split the difference and give each of those agencies $87,500 apiece. But that's something that, if you take that into consideration. Is there any other questions on that?
Chair, to comment on that request. I'd rather wait to deal with that at the end of the meeting tonight and see, let the other agencies speak first to see if there's other applications that we can make as well.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Okay. Danbury Youth Services, as proposed by the department, $149,408. As proposed by the mayor, $135,824. Yes, sir.
Chairman Riley, members of the Common Council Committee. My name is James Walsh, Executive Director of Danbury Youth Services. Danbury Youth Services, for 30 years by resolution of the Common Council, has been the City of Danbury's Youth Service Bureau. There's 100 youth service bureaus in the state of Connecticut. Approximately 10 of them are private nonprofit like ours. They're one of the 10, the other 90 are public. I believe by being a private nonprofit agency, we help the City of Danbury save a lot of money, administrative and financial, for fringe benefits, salaries, and other things. But in addition, besides youth support, and it's very thankfully, as the Youth Service Bureau, we're able to get money from United Way, as the public youth service bureaus are not. So we're one of 10 agencies that are private, and a vast majority, even though we have 3 or 4 regional programs in our agency, the vast majority are from the City of Danbury as the Youth Service Bureau. Our main program is our Youth and Family Counseling Program for people with mental health needs, substance abuse, trouble with the police department and the school system. We have right now, in the period of July 1st, 2007 through January 1st, 2008, 438 of our clients out of 454 were from the City of Danbury. Even though we get United Way regional program monies, we get state regional programs for community life skills, we get money from the towns of Bethel and New Fairfield. We've asked both of them for more. Our contributions have gone up I'm especially proud of our board of directors who've increased in the last 6 months to 20 board members. Our bylaws only allow 21. We had last year between April '07 and June '07, we raised $18,500, and the city of Danbury sponsored one of the basketball teams in our fundraiser on the 11th of April. We were able to start achieving our goal of fundraising this year. Instead of $18,500, $22,000. We're taking for the first time, all of our staff are licensed. We're taking Husky insurance. We're taking Anthem insurance and other insurance. We're increasing our client fees. We know it's a very tough year. We appreciate anything the mayor and you can do for Danbury Youth Services. We put in some modest increases. Cost of oil, which you know has gone up. This we project for next fiscal year. We have a lot of old computers we put in there. Hopefully, we'll just have to get it from a different source to maintain our computers. And a very modest cost of living adjustment. I know it's tough. From our basketball game, we had more community support than ever before, more publicity from the News Times. People found it hard to pay $10 to come to the game. We really need support. We're using the city of Danbury's money as a basis to run a lot of positive youth development programs, prevention programs. You've heard them before, the Youth Employment Service Program, the Earn a Bike Program, Community Life Skills Program. We're having a tutorial program to work with. There's a number of programs we do. You've already passed a resolution unanimously, I believe in March, pending the application being looked at by the new finance director. A lot of our monies that we get from the city of Danbury we use to get state money from the State Department of Education that pays for what's called an administrative core unit and direct services. So we use it as a match to bring in that money, and we bring in a lot of other money with the grant that you help us give us every year and the mayor gives us. So thank you for your support. Any questions I can answer to I'll try to.
Thank you very much, sir. Questions? Thank you very much. Commendable. Thank you. Dream Homes Community Center, as proposed by the department, $56,500. As proposed by the mayor, $54,500.
Leopold again. I'd like to briefly start just by saying how Dream Homes Community Center came to be. A couple of years ago, there was a plan on the table that had been in the making between We Care and Housing Authority for about 10 years regarding steps in place. And there was a change of leadership, and there was a difference of opinion how to then move on that plan. ARC was invited in as a broker, more or less. We worked to have both agencies speak together. Somebody else found money from the bank, and steps in place was very happily resolved. On the heels of that, We Care asked ARC, because we've had a housing program for over 20 years, if we would like to collaborate on a housing program. And we were happy to say yes, and said, since it went well with the Housing Authority, how about we include them as well and ride the wave? The then executive director retired and is now working with People First. So today, we have 4 agencies in Dream Homes. The Association of Religious Community, the Housing Authority of the City of Danbury, We Care, and People First. I'm just here as one person. All 4 executive directors are members of the lead team. During first year before that, I was on the mayor's 10-year plan to study to end homelessness in Danbury. And when our agencies came together to put this program together, we went to the mayor, and he liked this. And so then we now have a partnership that was passed after a pilot project of about 7 months with the Common Council, and expected to stay for 10 years. In that 10-year plan that we discussed, there would be 3% raise in the funding each year. 3%. We were asked in our first year to do something that's never been done, and that is to make the housing program in Danbury, particularly with work with people who are homeless, to have a regional buy-in from other municipalities. Did we do it? Yes. In Milford, in Fairfield, Ridgefield, and Reading all helped fund this program. And that was a major step and a commission from the 10-year plan to go regional. We were also asked to use the homeless information system, which is a way of tracking and monitoring all the activity. And many great agencies have this HMIS, but it's not centralized anywhere. So if I'm homeless and I go to 6 places, you don't know where I went. Now that's all centralized at the Homeless Community Center. So in the budget that we submitted, $56,500, that would have been a 2.7% raise. Going by the 3% per year. And instead, there's no new additional money. It's a tight year. And with all due respect, it's the tightest of all for homeless. So I would like to make the case that our 2.7 we looked at for this budget. And any questions you may have.
Questions, anyone? Councilor James?
Through the chair, a question. I know being part of the ad-hoc, we were forming this. One of the questions I was asked that additionally outside funding would come as well, besides the city of Greenville. And you mentioned several other towns as part of it. Are they also contributing to the Green Home Project?
All the towns I mentioned are contributed this year to the Green Homes Program. And not only that, we were able to secure a grant from Wells Fargo, from CDBG, and from HUD.
Are they even work with you, or is it?
Yes, it's about a $110,000 program, so we raised $50,000 outside Danbury.
Thank you very
One
much.
of our people that we have just recently, I'll tell you, I've been committed to say this, but a family of 4, they lost their mortgage, they were evicted, they were living in hotels, and they were on the street. Family 5. And then one of the family members had their leg amputated, and they showed up at ARC, where Green Homes is located. And just last week, the family is now in a 4-bedroom apartment. This family would not have had any resource anywhere that could have done this kind of work. So, and the family is with us in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Families Network of Western Connecticut. Proposed by the department, $35,020. Proposed by the mayor, $35,020. No one's here. Okay. Geriatric Health Center, as proposed by the department, $20,794. As proposed by the mayor, $20,794. Question?
Again, through the chair, I guess, since they're not here, I'm going to refer this to the finance director. Now, going through this, one of the purposes of this committee is to try to weed out duplication of services. Now, going through here, I know we just went through it, AmeriCares, we fund their center as well, but now it looks like VA duplication services, and this is through Danbury Hospital itself, through their organization. So is there duplication services between the geographic services and AmeriCares? I mean, some other, and then they have the visiting nurses as well. I mean, is this considered a duplication?
May.
May I know the answer?
I think you'll find that there's some overlap on a lot of these programs, but they are distinctly different. And, because I asked the same question when I was looking at this. What's being done over here that's different from over there? It looks like the same thing, but really they may not necessarily be the same thing. If we're talking about a program for homelessness, one program may cover adults, the other may cover families, specifically cover families. So it may first appear that, they're the same thing, but yes, there's some overlap, but they are distinctly different. That's not to say that, and I hate to say this because I'm a money guy, I am a money guy, and I'm looking for ways to reduce money, reduce costs, and but the mayor wanted to keep everything intact. Because I was saying, well, if there's overlap, could we maybe share the load a little bit here? But the reality is, they're distinctly different, and the funds, as I mentioned before, the level funding with last year's budget, or I should say this year's budget, it is pretty much next year's budget is the same as this year's, with one or two exceptions. He said, let's keep it intact. So, I hope that answers your question.
I'm sorry, I know you have to, but other agencies were reduced by 1,000, 2,000.
Not if you look at the last year's budget. I mean, I'm comparing to what I'm saying last year. I'm in the wrong year here because I'm looking at next year. If you look at the budget for this current year, 07, 08, and you look at the budget for next year, 08, 09, 99% of them are the same. There's a couple exceptions as you mentioned. YMCA is going to be reduced. Another program which kind of gobbled up or joined with Rami, sorry. It has been increased, but there's good reason for that. It was joining with another program. And I can't think of any others right off, but there may be one or two other small investments. But really, for the most part, they were back.
Thank you very much. Okay, Green Chimney, good friend, proposed by the department, $15,000. As proposed by the mayor, $7,348, which is the same as 207, 208. Is there anybody here from Green Chimney? Any questions, committee? Okay, Healing Hearts Regional Hospice, proposed by the department, $4,378, as proposed by the mayor, $4,378.
I'm Terry Mackett. I'm Director of Community Relations and Development for Regional Hospice, and I thank the City of Danbury for your support for our Healing Hearts program. It's certainly a unique program in our area, serves several hundred families every year, and we appreciate the support.
Questions? Thank you very much for all you do, because it's a wonderful program. Thank you. Hispanic Center of Greater Danbury, as proposed by the department, $34,402. After consultation with the mayor, $27,000. Please.
My name is Eva Colon. I'm the Executive Director to the Hispanic Center. Pretty new to this community. I took over the position about 7 months ago. I want to thank you for that change in the budget. We are looking to provide programming around ESL and acculturation to the Hispanic and Latino community. We serve several hundred people throughout the year for this type of programming. I also have with me one of my board members here. He's fairly new to that. And so I just want to again thank you for that change.
Are there some questions, please?
Councilman Chinese.
I know last year when we went through the budget last year, we took the funding away only because of the problem with the management within the center itself. And one of the stipulations was once the organization got back on track, finances, that we would consider putting the money back into the budget. That I do know currently there's an ad hoc pending in front of this council for a request for $27,000 or something like that. Now there's also a request for 34. I know the chair just mentioned the number about 27,000. Now I'm also willing to look into reestablishing that funding, but I can't agree to do both years. For example, I can't agree to the ad hoc money that's currently in front of us, agree to the budget money that's been proposed just a little while ago by the chair. So I'm willing to just go with the chair to try to reestablish some type of funding. I don't know if we the full 27 that has been presented this evening right now, until we hear the rest of the presentation. I'll be willing to listen at the end of the meeting this evening to see if we could establish some type of funding, knowing that we'll be taking away, our recommendation would be to take away from the ad hoc.
Thank you, Councilman Chinese. Is any other comments, please?
I just want to make a comment within the Hispanic Center. We did go through a transition last year, and like I said, I came on with about 7 months ago. And I have to say that the board has actively taken a role in redefining the agency, revisiting the mission statement, and really focusing on our programming so that it is directly aligned with the needs of the community. And in addition to that, the board did a community assessment asking the different Latino communities what were the needs and how can we, the Hispanic Center, play a role in facilitating those services. So I, again, a board member here who can take a minute or so, we're willing to talk about it, but I think that the center is taking that turn. We are recognizing that we do and need to take accountability for our programming, and we're doing just that. Thank you.
I don't know if you have any questions about our program, because like she said, my name is Dr. Kurdani, I'm a new board member, and our focus is on the ESL acculturation, preventive care, helping that members of our community learn how to better take access of the medical services available and not put a strain onto our hospital system, and having them just be better educated how to fit into the Danbury and the American community. So those are our two main goals that we have at the center right now.
Councilman Seabury, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may ask you, could you give me some sort of a figure what it costs you to run your center in the course of the year?
We're budgeted this year at about $436,000.
Could you also tell me where some of the other areas that you get funding from?
We get private donations. We get foundation grants from Susan Komen Foundation, Boehringer, GE Capital. We've applied to the city as well, DSS funding. So we have an array of funding that we get, and we continue to seek to diversify and to increase our funding for the city.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Mr. Chair, you said last year we had severe gaps in our funding for the agency because of some of the problems that were going on in the direction that your director was leading the organization. We had, how we strongly cautioned you about trying to get your board in order and get back to the core mission and get that correct for that. The question I have for you is the same that I had for Art tonight. We had that taken out in the paper. How was that funded? You tell me how much it cost you.
$1,196 and change, and that was privately funded. The private donation.
If I might, as we know, last year was a very difficult year, and
I had the opportunity, well, I don't think it was an opportunity I liked so much to be in this position, and was, I guess, instrumental holding back funds, and that bothered me in itself. I have to tell you that, because truly I know that the Hispanic Center does a commendable job. Again, as I said, I think it was the perception that some people had, and maybe rightly so, I don't know, that the funding going was a political issue, and the funding might have been from taxpayers' money. And I assure you that I take your comments to heart that it was not, it was private. I mean, no matter what, we have in this great country the right for freedom of the press. We have the right of expression, and certainly I want to say that I would never consider for myself to withhold funds based upon a vendetta or anything like that. And I'm sure that the mayor would not, and I'm sure that anybody sitting on this committee would think the same way. And so I think it's important we think about going ahead to the future and doing all the good things that you do for your center, and certainly the funds will continue. So thank you very much for what you said.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
may I add something to what Ms. Colon has just said that she personally probably would not be able to say?
Please.
Thank you.
If you make it less than 3 minutes.
3 seconds.
My name is Barbara Roos. I'm Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Hispanic Center of Greater Danbury. And I think that it needs to be said that since Ms. Colon has come on board, this agency has totally turned around, and the focus is on the kinds of things that the city wants to see. She comes from an extremely good experience, lots and lots of experience in the city of Bridgeport. She is a businesswoman. She is on top of the needs of the Latino community, and she has totally changed the face of this agency. And I think that you all will be very proud of what the Hispanic Center is now and will become even more so in the future.
Thank you very much for your comments. I had the opportunity to visit the center, and I was very happy for what I saw, and I realized also that directors doing a commendable, directors are doing a commendable job. Thank you. Interfaith AIDS Ministry, proposed by the department, $28,000. As proposed by the mayor, $26,265.
How you doing? I'm Mike Green with Interfaith AIDS Ministry. I'm Director of Direct Care Services. And we really thank the town and the council for approving us again this year. And we have a long history with Danbury. And we run prevention. We run a pantry, food pantry, self-shop. We offer fresh meat, vegetables, fruit, milk, eggs. And everybody's allowed to go through, take what they want. We also work with Youth Reacting to AIDS, and we run a lot of direct care services as far as birthday in a box, adopted families for the holidays, and back to school programs. So we do appreciate your support for these many years that we've done.
Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair.
Sure.
Mr. Green, last year, I believe, when the ad-hoc committee for the budget for grant agencies, we asked the agency and the AIDS project for Greater Danbury if there was any possibility that you could get together and maybe form an alliance.
Right. Well, we do have an alliance. We serve pretty much the same clients, not totally, but we have
different needs.
Different needs. We operate a food pantry as our main. The town money is equal by UConn. UConn gives the $26,265 also. Basically, that supplies a nutritionist And the money the town gives goes towards the pantry, not towards prevention programs that we also run. That's supported by DPH. So this is basically to keep the pantry going, which a lot of our clients rely on, especially now with the high price of food. We're seeing a lot more of a turnout of people that haven't come for years are coming back because they just can't afford it. We give out a lot more food than we were able to before. We get a lot more support from the churches in the area and Broadway Cares, and they designate the money directly for the food because it's very important that these clients receive a good nutritional diet, not just, dented cans and outdated materials. They really need nutritional food, so that's what our main purpose is. And that's, I think, the difference. I think it's good to have two organizations. I know we talked to the mayor about this. He's come over to see the pantry, and I don't know what his feeling is about it still, but he feels that we're doing a good job and thinks it's a great setup, so we're hoping to continue selling it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
To the finance director here, going to the AIDS project for Danbury, no funds have been expended to date. Is there a reason that part of the funding request is paid for 7.1? Again, it's just related to duplication of services.
Budget on that page, you'll see that they were not given a budget last year. Okay. So we're not, they were the previous year, but there I think what ended up happening is that there was some overlap, the requests came late in the year, and so they weren't funded in this year, they were funded in 07 or 08, they were funded in 06 or 07, and that's the budget year that it fell in. And they were paid out, and it's also my note there, they were paid out at the end of June of last year. And so I think that's why the decision was made, rather than essentially fund them the same amount within a month time period, that you just look at it again this year.
Literacy volunteers, proposed by the department $8,000, as proposed by the mayor $7,442. Is there anyone that is? No, any questions? Midwest Council of Alcoholism, as proposed by the department $38,500, as proposed by the mayor $35,020. Please, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Joe Sullivan. I'm president of MCCA. And I first of all want to express our gratitude to the mayor and to the council for their ongoing support, and for the taxpayers of the city of Danbury. And we are very proud that we think we give the city taxpayers great value for their contribution to MCCA. We were recently awarded by the state of Connecticut, received 2 awards, one for being the top-rated behavioral health organization in the northwest corner of the state of Connecticut, and secondly for being in the top 10 best performers 3 years in a row. So we're very proud of that. We do use the money that the city gives us for our sobering center, and the city of Danbury funds about 10% of the cost of that operation, and in return gets about 2/3 of the people who are served at the sobering center are residents of the city of Danbury. It's a shelter of sorts for people, substance abusers who are entering the treatment system, and I think we've experienced over the years that we've had a tremendous impact on public intoxicants and so forth on the streets of Danbury. So we again express gratitude for your support. Any questions?
We certainly appreciate what a wonderful job you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Northwest Regional Mental Health, as proposed by the department, $8,737, as proposed by the mayor, $7,179.
I'm Janine Sullivan, Wiley, Executive Director of the Regional Health Board, and I'd first like to say thank you. And I know that our request is up $76 from last year, and that the proposed budget is level funding. And having heard all the stories here tonight, I can only say thank you for at least keeping us constant.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. Grant cemeteries, as proposed, 155. As proposed by the mayor, 155. Okay, we'll move on. Thank you. Okay. Next, regional hospice. As proposed by the department, $8,455. As proposed by the mayor, $8,455.
Hello again, I'm Terry Nackett with Regional Hospice, and we very much appreciate your support. And we provide care to more than 500 families in the greater Danbury area each year, and certainly our programs are growing, and we appreciate your support for us.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Fountain Street YMCA. As proposed by the department, $180,000. As proposed by the mayor, $100,000. Please.
Mr. Chair, to the director, particularly for the benefit of everybody here, just give us an overview of how this budget's going to decrease and where the money's going to decrease within the agency group.
You may recall a few years ago they've had some major renovations at the YMCA, and that's when the city's funding increased significantly to $180,000, and that level was maintained for 2 years, and then for next year it's proposed to drop down to $100,000, and that was to help them with their improvements and all those kind of things. I'm not sure what the price tag was on that, but it was rather significant. And the funding was shifted over to 3 places. I apologize, I didn't get my book. It's like that, too many numbers. A portion of that was used to help to increase the funding to the Connecticut Institute for Communities. You'll notice that went up from last year's budget of 97 to this year's proposed by the mayor of 112. But the lion's share of it, and I'm looking for it on here. Yeah, it was shifted to the Historical Society. You'll notice in here that the Historical Society is not funded this year in this area. It's set up, it's going to be set up as a separate authority, and that's where the bulk of that funding went, into the, actually it's called a museum, right? You see it, that page there?
Page 256.
Page 256. Map 75. The amount went from 31, which you'll see in your grant agency line, which we took out, and then that went up to 95. So that was funded by the reduction in the YMCA line. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you.
What's that? Stop. Where did it go? Scott in? Okay, that's fine. Couldn't see you.
If I might, excuse me.
Follow up, please, Mr. Chairman. Will the Historical Society authority remain within the grant agencies and
No.
or will they come out of there?
No, they will not. They're going to be, they have to establish themselves as an authority, and they will not be in this line. They're a separate line. Right, they're, if you look in the back, they're the very wild authority and those other authorities.
And to follow up, if I might, if by chance the committee looked at, again, the Danbury YMCA and the War Memorial and split the difference, would that cause any major problems? Putting you on the spot.
Well, you know, I have to defer that really to the agencies themselves. I certainly know that the War Memorial needs the money, just like all the agencies here need the money, but they're in a unique situation. They're in danger of closing. The YMCA has had a significant amount of funding over the last several years. Although it would be a slight reduction for going from 100 down to, say, 87, or whatever you're proposing, they still have many other sources to get the money, whereas the War Memorial is kind of dire straits. So, you know, but it really, to be fair, the agencies kind of have to speak to that themselves. And, you know, we have the information for you here, and you guys here as well. When considering it, you know, we are cutting down the YMCA from 180 down to 100. That's quite a drop in a year. So
The only concern I have is that the War Memorial to honor the dead service to the course of living, and that's a program that's been ongoing, and now it's really suffering financial problems, and I'm really concerned that they might have a chance of not being able to make it, and that's a program that Danbury just can't afford to lose, and so maybe it's something that this committee might consider.
Right. How much of the money is, you know, will the money help the War Memorial more or the YMCA? I mean, that's a question, so you guys can think of big thoughts.
Thank you. Oh, Councilman Chinese.
Through the chair, just to comment to the committee, I have the financials from the YMCA. Now, according to what I see here, the YMCA in 2006, this is total branch, all branches, it made $113,000 profit in 2006. Now, it doesn't doesn't break out the balance sheet why in that number. But here, as of December 31st, 2007, the actual budget, now the way I read it here, I don't see this including the money from the city we gave them this fiscal year. And what I read here, they're making a profit of $10,000. So it looks like the balance sheet is starting to make money. So the money that they are giving them is not part of this money.
It's showing results.
So it's not part of the 10. So I think if we decide to take some funding away, based on what the numbers we see here, I don't think we'll have a major detriment to the overall operations, given how the renovations looks like it's taking a positive effect.
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you. Okay. Escape to the Arts, as proposed by the department, $31,000. As proposed by the mayor, $30,643. Any questions? Human and social welfare, proposed by the department, $2,100. as proposed by the mayor, $1,751.
That's
RSVP, excuse me. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Oh. Please.
Good evening, Councilman. My name is Maureen Farrell. I'm the director of the Retired Senior Volunteer Program of Northern Fairfield County, RSVP. I recruit and place volunteers 55 and over, reinvest their skills back into the community. Currently have, the numbers change all the time, but right now I have about 580 active volunteers. And we've actually increased the number of organizations that we've been involved with. We're now serving 10% more than we did 2 years ago, organizations, so we're up to 80 organizations. 100% of the grant that you provide us go into volunteer recognition, which is a big factor in volunteer retention. And I thank you for supporting the RSVP program in the past, and I look forward to meeting you again next year.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We were recognized as the best practice organization in the area of affordable housing by the Fairfield County Responsible Women and Girls because of the work we've done through the Key Rings program. What we bring to the city as far as the grant goes is that we have, for example, we administer the CDBG grant that when we received it, the Key Rings, at no cost to the city. So every dime that we get through the CDBG grant goes to Danbury residents. Not one dime is used for administration. Our job training and employment program, again, is the same. It's money. We just established an employer advisory council that has employers, some of the Gloria, Cardis, GE, Westcon, Union Savings Bank. There's 15 employers in total who are all participating. So we're also bringing back to the employer community because the reality is in order to solve so many of the problems in the city, jobs, education, and stability. We have the only financial literacy program that includes a cost-free savings account aspect. So we're in partnership with 2 banks so that we can get people re-initiated banking, the unbanked. And we just introduced a new program called ESSL, meaning everyone speaks a second language, because today it's not enough to just speak English. If you only speak English, you'll be equally disadvantaged. So we have a language lab that was funded through a fundraiser that was founded by our board of directors. And it provides opportunity for people who are new to the English language. We don't do ESL, we're not replicating it. But people who are doing ESL, the next step is to use the language, to get comfortable using it, to practice it, to learn your skills in that language. We have the Rosetta Stone in English, Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese levels 1, 2, and 3. But we also encourage people to learn Brazilian Portuguese plus Spanish because even for entry-level jobs, employers want people not only computer literate, they want them bilingual. So, thank you for your support. As I said, anything left over, we'll take it.
Thank you very much. The Volunteer Center, as proposed by the department, $10,000. As proposed by the mayor, $2,101.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members. I'm Patty Cohen-Hecht. I'm the Executive Director of Volunteer Center serving Western Connecticut. And first I'd like to thank you for your support and also thank you because next week is National Volunteer Recognition Week and you are all volunteers. So I want to thank you on behalf of President Bush and this initiative. The Volunteer Center will be out in the community recognizing volunteers next week. I'm here tonight to talk to you about a little bit of history. First, the Volunteer Center has been a vital part of the Danbury community since 1974, when I graduated from Danbury High School, and has a proud history of really being a catalyst for community involvement. We are the center for volunteerism, Every single, and they're mostly gone now, every single organization that was here tonight talking to you, come to us for volunteers. Every single organization, including RSVP, we recruit volunteers for their organization. We work with over 150 nonprofits. Last year, when we were severely cut in our hours due to budget constraints, we still managed to refer 1,200 volunteers, which made a financial impact in our community of $441,000. Because right now, a volunteer hour is $19.51 across the country. In Connecticut, it's $25.75. That is based on the national. Our allocation from the city of Danbury goes back 20 years. When we housed the Youth Employment Service, we were paid $200 a month for rent. When the Youth Employment Service left and went to Danbury Youth Services, we still continue to get that $2,400 from the city of Danbury for operational expenses. It hasn't changed in 20 years, except it's gone down. I am asking you to consider bringing us up to the level of almost every other nonprofit that you fund in this community. There's, I believe, a terrible inequity here. And I have met with the mayor about it. I have tried to explain that our allocation is based on nothing but rent that was paid 20 years ago. And the service that we provide to this community, including the financial impact of our community impact projects through our Business Volunteer Council, was $115,000 through our Back to School initiative, where we supply backpacks and gift certificates to at-risk kids in the Danbury school system. 90% of the people who volunteer through our agency get referred to Danbury agencies. So we're the Volunteer Center of Western Connecticut, and we do get funding. We get $1,500 from the city of Newtown. And this year was the first time we went to every municipality for funding. Since I've come to the Volunteer Center, we've had our worst year ever, and last year we had our best year ever. But part of that was because the mayor gave us a $20,000 gift through the mayor's ball, and the other was sweat equity, because we had to cut staff hours in half in order to balance our budget because of decrease from some of our major funders. We tooled in, we refocused, and at this moment I'm asking you to really consider bringing us up to par with some of the other nonprofits in the community and get us off of this treadmill based on something that happened 20 years ago. Thank you. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much, and we will consider that request. We Care, as proposed by the department, $35,000. As proposed by the mayor, $32,396.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Martha Burr. I'm with We Care. I'm here tonight for Pat Thomas, our Executive Director of the on family business. And we is our very good president of our board, Steve Reichenbach. First of all, on behalf of Steve, the board, Pat, and the staff, we want to thank you for your continued support. I want to give you just a couple of facts about this past year. We Care advocated, we advocate, for people with disabilities. And we advocated for 316 community clients. 148, or 46%, was from Danbury, including 99 children and 49 adults. This is an increase of 30 individuals over the previous year. We served approximately 32% of all the children in the Danbury school system with cognitive disabilities, and 31% of those were identified with emotional disabilities. 21 of the adults we assisted were cases where abuse was the primary concern. The other adults concerned were working with the homeless or those folks that are in danger of becoming homeless. And as PJ mentioned a little while ago, we are involved in green homes, and our part of that is that folks come into us with disabilities. We do our part in making sure that they get a home. In this first quarter of this year, we've had 10 more cases from Danbury, and at this rate we're going to end up with approximately 40 new Danbury cases. All of this is done with staffing hours of 3 full-time and 4 part-time employees. Many of our referrals come not only from the Danbury school system, but the Department of Children and Families, and Head Start got one of our former advocates. But so we get one every once in a while from Head Start. And of course, the Department of Disabilities and sister agencies here in Danbury, and we work very closely with the Department of Social Services. So I am extremely proud of the job that We Care does for this community, and ask for the continued support of $32,396 for the 08-09 year, as proposed by Mayor Barton and your committee. So thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for agreeing to see that in such a commendable way.
Thank you.
Thank you for your support. Okay, last one. Women's Center, as proposed by the department, $80,000. As proposed by the mayor, $70,040. No one is here. Okay. First, before I would ask for a motion regarding the grant agencies, I would like to thank each and every member of the committee, the esteemed committee. I want to thank all of us from the agencies that came forward.
Sorry.
Women's Center?
No, I'm not. I'm from Family and Children's Aid Harmony House program. We were on, I wonder if I can speak for just a moment.
And you're going to speak to what?
Family and Children's Aid, we missed the deadline this year. They're not on the list. They're not.
Oh. No, I think what happened, you missed the deadline?
We understand it's probably not possible, but I figured
Please speak.
Wait a second.
When
do anything about that. We didn't want to just be here and ask that if it is possible to consider our request. Harmony House program is a homeless shelter for mothers with children here on Harmony Street in Danbury. We would be requesting the same amount we have for the past 3 years. And we served 23 homeless mothers with children over this past year. And again, I have the information if it is possible to submit, but again, we understand it was our fault on this in the deadline.
Chairman, if I might, Dally, could you tell me what you were funded in past years?
We have put in for $5,000, but the past few years we've been funded at $4,378.
Thank you. And we'll do all that's possible regarding that, even though it was late. We understand this.
Can I leave that here with someone?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you again. Why don't you hold this, please? Thank you. So, if I might, before we, I want to thank everybody again for being here with us tonight. Thank the committee and all the grant agencies and everybody else. And before we end up, Director of Finance, would you like to say something?
I just wanted to point out to the board, Mr. Chairman, that we had $1,587,645 in requests. And, by keeping things level with last year's budget and with a couple minor adjustments and that shift to the museum, the amount was down to $1,233,027. There are a lot of agencies that, of course, they're not any different than we are. They still have to pay for heat bill and all that. Of course, they're asking for increases. But the reality is, our budget is very tight. And, it's certainly up to the board to shift around whatever they see fit. But we were consistent in the methodology. That no agency got an increase over last year's budget. They remained flat. And I think, given the economic environment that we're in, from a financial standpoint, being the agencies that, being the organization that hands out the money, that's a pretty good thing. I know that's not easy for the agencies to hear. And I'm certainly not heartless in that aspect. I'm not just a money guy. But the reality is, we had a very tight budget situation. And, maintaining level funding was a struggle. You folks know it better than as much as any of us, working closely with members. You saw the departments being cut. We're focusing on the essentials, and these services are valued, and that's why a red pen wasn't cut. Wasn't used to cut the number in these things. So just want to share that with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Chairman, this time I'd like to start off by making a statement, and then I'd like to proceed with a motion, if I could. I'm not sure whether it was 2 or 3 years ago, I had the pleasure of being the chairman of this committee when I remember economic times were a little bit better for us as a city, and the state agencies in the city all took a 15% across the board hit. And financially, we were in better shape than we are now. I understand, and I hear the pleas of the organizations that are here tonight asking us for increases. But I would also say to you that I'm pleased that the mayor didn't give us the charge of doing this with a reduction for everybody across the board. These economic times are very difficult, and the taxpayers, which fund the money that goes to your agencies, have been letting us know in large amounts they want their taxes to stop going up. So in an effort to do that, I applaud the mayor for bringing in and not cutting your agencies, but at least keeping you flat funded, as he did last year and I believe probably the year before. I think the agencies that came here tonight and asked for exactly what they got last year, and noticed there were a couple that asked for a little bit less. And I thank them for that, and I really want to applaud the agencies that have gone out and have done what we've requested of them in the past years and seek to help us not to have to be the benefactor of their agency and seek other funds and look for other ways to raise money. And I'm grateful for that. I've heard several agencies tonight that have said that they've done that, and it seems that they have done that successfully. And I encourage all the agencies to please try and raise funds somewhere other than the taxpayers in the city of Danbury. I will at this time.
Councilman, could I make a comment before you can make a motion?
I'd rather just go to the motion.
Would you be so kind as
Yes.
to say what I'd like to say? I realize prior to the motion, I just would like to have the committee hear what some of the 3-4 exceptions that I don't think would cost the city any extra money. First was the request for the war memorial and the Mountain YMCA to share $150,000, which would be $87,500 apiece. 170. Thank you. I also from meeting with the mayor earlier this evening, would like to make sure that the Hispanic Center would receive $27,000. I would like to also, if possible, add that $3,000 to the volunteer center because they're in desperate needs. And then lastly, to make sure that there's no problem in the future, so direct a clause that no grant agencies can use taxpayers' money for political statements. Now, if they like to fund political statements on their own behalf, private monies, so be it. But in all due respect, we have to make sure that taxpayers' money will not be funded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd actually like to make my motion, and we can do everything else under discussion if we could, please.
Please do it.
I'd like to make a motion that the budget as presented by the mayor for the grant agencies, with the exception of the YMCA and the War Memorial, which I would ask to have their money split and divided equally between the two, for a sum of $87,500 into line item 5010.6073 and 5010.6027, War Memorial. Split those funds. I'm also including my motion that the Hispanic Center stay currently at zero, because I had not prior knowledge to this, walking into this meeting tonight, that the mayor had said that the money could go back in that fund. I believe that we have an ad hoc committee formed to investigate this, and there was a reason why that ad hoc committee was formed, and I want to see that ad hoc committee do its work first. I'll certainly be happy to restore that money after the ad hoc does its work and comes back and tells us what we wanted to know after last year's budget meeting. And all the other agencies stay as presented in the budget by the mayor.
Discussion.
Just a question through you to Joe. The money that's currently being requested is in an ad hoc committee for the Hispanic Center.
Yes, sir.
There's currently a Hispanic Center ad hoc committee formed. I'm asking this is the new guy. And the dollar figure, do you know what that dollar figure is that they requested?
I believe it was $27,000. What they had asked for funding last year.
Because I too, this is the first time when you said tonight that $27,000 was there. Obviously, that's the number they're looking for. Obviously, the ad hoc committee was formed for a specific reason. I too don't understand why we would, at this point, put it in there. We don't believe you, but we never heard it from the mayor. So I don't know how or why we would move forward in that regard.
Please. Just another comment, Jack, along with your feelings. That ad hoc was formed to find out specific objectives of that organization, where they were heading, and what direction they were going in. We haven't heard that yet. And I think that we as the council have the right to have that committee called, formed, investigate, heard, and report back to us as a council. And I just feel more comfortable doing it that way. Not saying that it's not going to happen, but I just would prefer that it went that way rather than just this way tonight.
For the record, as the chair, I also would say that I felt that when the Hispanic Center directors came before us tonight, that they gave a good rendition of what they're all about. And certainly when I meet with the mayor of this great city, when the mayor says to me that $27,000 is acceptable to him, I find it kind of disparaging that my committee would come back and say things like, we still have to see the Hispanic Center come before us. They already did, but so be it, but that's for the record.
Mr. Chairman, just to remind, I have complete faith in them coming before us tonight, but I really would like to have a committee spend more than 3 minutes of time with them, finding out what their objectives and goals, and how they plan on spending $27,000 of taxpayers' money. Thank you, and it's within the utmost respect to you, sir. I really
And I just hope that again, for the record, I hope that certainly you have the right to do this, and I abide by it, but I certainly hope that there's no vindictive motions or anything like that behind this request, because I couldn't like myself and go along with something that I just can't underhand. So, is there any other discussion regarding Councilman Chase?
Through the chair, well, I know, I'm not against the motion that's before us to reduce the YMCA's amount and reallocate it to the War Memorial. However, there are other agencies that are before us this evening who requested additional funding as well. And one of them was Family Aid, because we missed the deadline as well. But I would just like to think about this, instead of giving them $87.5 apiece, if we can just reduce that to $80,000 per agency, which that means the Memorial just get their increase, and that we can actually give some of that funding to the other agencies who came before us this evening. I mean, the War Memorial is a great organization, the YMCA is a great organization, but that just deals with it deals with the same class of people, which are both athletic facilities. You know, the other organizations deal with homeless people, children in need. So I think we should at least, if we're going to do some allocation, at least consider moving some of that funding to the other organizations. So I would just like to amend the motion, if I may, to just make it $80,000 to War Memorial, $80,000 to the YMCA, $4,000 to the Family Aid, I guess that's what it was here this evening. And we gave like $1,000 to the ARC to help their advocate program there, because I think that is a main program. It's very good for this community. If we really listen to what they said, and we take the political end out of it, we got to maintain, you know, our independence.
How much was that second figure? I'm sorry.
It's
You said 4,000.
4,000 to family children needs. 1,000.
1,000.
To I mean, I'm open to suggestions. Well, I don't want to make it move it all, but I'll just and 1,000 to the ARC, the caregivers program, and I'll open up to the rest of the committee if they feel that the rest of the money should go to the YMCA or Memorial. That's fine, but at least you can have the opportunity to move some of that money around. I mean, it's good that we're doing this, but let's give the opportunity to the other organizations as well. So I'll finish that motion to any other ones who wish to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. James, with all utmost respect to you and your amendment to the motion, I will find it very difficult to support that, to start moving money around from one specific agency to the third specific agency. Only because the only reason I made the motion on the YMCA and the War Memorial is because they're two similar agencies. They both do similar things, and moving the money within them, I didn't feel was a problem. But I'm going to have a problem if I give $1,000 to an agency and all the other, you know, worthwhile agencies that are before us tonight don't get benefit of that $1,000. And I would prefer to try to leave everybody flat funded as they were, if we could. I just don't want to start favoring one agency over another. That's why it was okay to do the money between the Y and the one because they're similar agencies. I don't want to start getting into, I personally.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to agree with Councilman McConnell. If we start looking at some of these numbers, and you can start nickel and diming, taking from this one, bring it to that one, and it's really going to cause some discontent on some of the agencies that didn't get it. I agree with Joe in that the two agencies are the same. I want to see if we can help the War Memorial do some of that part of the financial role. So I would support this.
All right, can we have a vote on that motion, the main motion, please? Oh, we have to.
There was never a second.
We never had a second. So. Back to the
amendment. The motion to amend was never seconded.
Do we have a second for the amendment? We do not. Okay, so it goes away. All right, back to the main motion. We had a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
I
against?
abstain.